Here you are. Okay. We'll ask David to join us and talk about Hamlet Isn't Dead. And they have David.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
What a scenic thing you have going on back there. You have the bust of Shakespeare. You have all kind of Shakespeare library action happening back there. I'm envious.
Thank you. It's an incidental collection. It's hard to find a corner in this room that doesn't have something nerdy in it.
So, David, for anyone who might not be familiar with your company, Hamlet Isn't Dead. You guys have been around for I think about like 7-8 years thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when I first came across your company a couple of years ago, I didn't really know what to expect with your company because you guys have a very kind of like a funny, tongue-in-cheek way of approaching even the name Hamlet Isn't Dead and the logo and what's the tagline underneath your logo? It's theater.
So the tagline on the logo is "It's theater you'll love whether you like it or not." I think we're sort of phasing that out. It feels a little more aggressive than it did 8 years ago. But really, our main claim to fame is being New York City's 748th best theater company.
Now talk to me about that. In different places, you're either the 957th or the 745th, or the numbers change. Is that a weighted scale of which number Shakespeare Company you are in the spectrum?
Absolutely, it's very weighted. It's very personal and day to day. It's the stock market of theater companies. Someday we'll break top 10, but not for long.
Well, a couple of times I have had the chance to see you guys do really solid work. You have a fun way of approaching Shakespeare, and you have a very lively cast of good, strong actors, and you guys do good work. So you guys, I think you had a more proper season planned when Corona hit. What was I think it was like an all-female Troilus and Cressida. Is that what it was going to be?
We had
In
actually
March?
just finished all female Troilus and Cressida, and we were in week 2 of 3 of Twelfth Night when everything hit.
Okay.
This upcoming season was the main stages were intended to be Timon of Athens, Measure for Measure, and Othello, and we will still be doing all of those as main stage productions, just a bit more developmentally.
Okay, so you guys have a permanent space now. It's I believe at the center at West Park, and that's on the west side, maybe like 69th Street or something like that.
It's at 86th in Amsterdam. It's
Okay,
a lovely, lovely building, and we are so grateful to have them. We've been resident Shakespeare company there for the past 2 years, I believe, and it's been a real boon for us.
so these presentations you're about to get started on the new season that you're talking about. You're starting with Timon of Athens, and that starts next week.
Starts is such a loose word at this point. So what we're doing with Timon, which is probably what we'll end up doing with all of our main stages, is, as I said, it'll be much more developmental. We're really doing more of a deep dive into the play, spending a lot more time with table work and talking about the play. And what we've been doing over the course of our rehearsals is recording our Zoom sessions, and then this past week and this week we've been taping more product-based versions. And what we will release at the end of this month will be a sort of making of video that charts our discussions into our rehearsals, into our production, a sort of almost a documentary about, our process with this play. We just thought that would be the most interesting way for us to approach this play and to present it rather than a stage reading at this point, and so we'll see how
Okay.
it turns
I
out.
don't, this is very, very, very deep down the Shakespeare nerd rabbit hole. But I don't know if you ever saw Al Pacino put out a film several years ago called Looking for Richard, where he
Exactly.
does kind of a similar thing to what you're talking about, where he explores the process of getting into the head of Richard III, or the production, the rehearsal process, and all of those steps of figuring out what the play is all about and getting the head of the characters and all that. So it seems like that's what you guys are doing some kind of version of,
Very similar
and
to
that's
that.
and that's
We've been going.
and you're presenting it now on. It's going to be what, on Zoom? It's going to be on Facebook. How are you guys presenting this production or this
It'll
this exploration?
the final product, right? What it'll all boil down to will be basically an hour-long video that will be on various video
Hmm.
platforms. We're going to have a launch party on September 28th to, briefly talk about it and then release the footage. But it's going to be a little more approach when you will, rather than live. We're saving our live readings for our Contemporaries of Color series, which will be four plays by classical writers of color that we'll be doing quarterly this year.
Okay, so talk to me about that. It's everyone's still very reluctant to get back into any kind of live theater presentation. What you're talking about right now, is that going to be actually live in a theater in the center at West Park, or is that yet to be determined?
No, not yet. Those are still all planned to be over Zoom. The only thing we were able to film some of our Timon at the Center at West Park, which was really wonderful. Every actor that I've worked with has been so grateful for the opportunity to say words to another person again, even if it
Right,
is still being filmed.
right.
No, we don't anticipate. Unfortunately, we're so at the behest of not only the sort of powers that be, but also audiences to be willing and able to come back to a live theatrical space. So we're sort of,
Yeah, that's something I talked about at the top of the show, is that, there are a couple of companies that are out there. They're putting their foot forward and doing live Shakespeare, although in a park with, social distancing and masks and all that, but still, it seems like audiences are still very reluctant to embrace that and to go forward with that. So for you guys, you're not even contemplating that. Yeah, you're still in the Zoom mindset.
yeah, we're really shifting a lot of our focus, into development, into education. As you know, and spoke about, right, we have such a specific brand of theater, such a specific way that we think the stories should be communicated and are communicated best, that
Hmm.
we're really taking this time more to indoctrinate people with the way to present Shakespeare that way, so that soon we can release them out into the world. We've expanded our
And
resident acting company from 20 actors to 30. We have 30 members of a resident acting company now, and we
fantastic.
have, nine uh, members of our administration team, which for the first 7 years of our existence, there were only two of us in leadership positions, and then there was a third, and now we're at nine because we've just taken the time to expand what we're doing. So,
That's fantastic, and that's a
yeah.
great thing to do with this kind of, not downtime, but this time that you're not up on the boards presenting a live show, is that you're building your infrastructure. You're firming up how you're going to present Shakespeare in the future, whether it's mediated somehow or whether it's whatever it is. And you guys also have a children's teaching program, correct?
We do. We have a program called Shakes Pre-K, which takes
Hmm.
Shakespeare into preschool classrooms, and it is, it has been on hiatus while the schools have been on hiatus, but as that progresses, we will see how it is able to. We were lucky enough to get a few of our teachers together and record some of that before things got too lockdowny. Um, but as a lot of people are finding right now, we are not only with coronavirus, but with the massive civil rights movement that's happening in our country right now. A lot of priorities are
Yeah.
shifting, and a lot of structures are being reformatted. And we're really lucky to be able to look at what we've been doing. The collective we, what we've been doing for years and years,
Hmm.
what has been the traditions of theater, and be able to go, okay, let's do what's working, and then let's not do what's not working, and let's do something else, right? Having had so much time to talk about Timon, this process has been
Hmm.
a godsend. We've never, I've never done this much table work on a play, and it's been really exciting to get new voices and new ways of thinking into a room, and expand how we do what we do.
Well, I can't wait to see what that all results in. So, if people want to check out the end result of all of that work, where can they go to find your company, David?
So our website is hamletisntdead.com. We're also very active on social media. We have a brand new social media manager who's knocking it out of the park. So that's where we love to interact with folks and hear what they're liking and what they'd like to see. And yeah, anywhere with the Hamlet Isn't Dead, where you can tag it, it sticks out.
So yeah, absolutely. Everyone check out hamletisntdead.com and visit their social media where you can be the one to determine whether they're the 689th best Shakespeare company in New York or a little bit higher than that. All right, David, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure chatting with you, and good luck with Timon.
Thank you, Rodney. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. All right, we are approaching the end of our hour, and